right, we are live in the web devs with Rizèl. What is up, Rizèl?
Hey, nothing much. Chilling, having a good time. How about you?
Doing the same, yeah. Super excited to chat with you. It's been a while. What have you been up to recently?
Yeah, so last time when we last spoke, I think I worked at GitHub. I was getting into open source a bit. But right now, I've moved to a different company called TBD, and that's a company within Block. Like Block has a couple of different companies like Square, Cash App, Tidal, and TBD as well. And um, we're focused on a lot of different things, but like I'll say for short, data ownership, being able to verify your identity in different ways, and then there's different things with finance going on as well.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. I don't know. Do you remember when you had interviewed me when I was working at QuickNode and we had a conversation about Web3? This was
Oh
back in like 2022, and I remember, you know, talking to you about it. And at the time, I was trying to like pitch this Web3 stuff to, a lot of my, Web2 friends, and there's like a wide range of responses to it. And like you seemed fairly open to
yeah.
it and you seem to find it interesting. And I know what you're doing now is not quite the same as like Web3, blockchain, crypto, but it's in the same sort of area.
Yeah.
And I found it really interesting that you kind of went that route, because you went that route right when almost no one was doing that. Basically, everyone was either getting out of this whole decentralized space, or they're pivoting to like AI, or they just stayed away from it and they're continuing to stay away from it. So like, what is it that made you interested in it, and what made you kind of want to, especially working at a company like GitHub where you could, stay for a decade and have all sorts of, like, you were like already like doing a lot of stuff there. So I imagine it had to have been something really like uh something interesting that would get you away from that.
Yeah, I will say, like, I know a lot of people were pivoting towards AI, but I'm like, I already kind of got to explore that space and kind of set the tone in some ways with like talking about GitHub Copilot and how people can better use it. So I was just curious for more. I'm like, what else is there out there? I think for a little bit, I might have gotten a little exhausted by some parts of AI because it was like every single thing. So I was like, is there any other thing out there? And I think the initial thing that attracted me was that Angie worked at TBD. I wanted to be able to work with her. I had a couple other friends from the past who went to Resilient Coders with me. But then the technology also seemed pretty interesting. Like they want to like kind of remake the idea of the web, and then they have this thing called, I didn't understand everything I saw initially when I looked at the documentation, but they had this thing called TBDEX, which would allow you to exchange money easily um, globally. So, like, if you were going to send money to someone in South America or the Caribbean, I knew how much of a struggle that was. So I thought, oh, this is something that's actually like helpful to more than just like an American centric perspective.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. That's usually one of the first things that I would mention as like a thing that you could do with crypto. So it looks like this is where they get back into the kind of finance payment type stuff.
Yeah, but not necessarily. It could be for regular money or any fiat. I mean fiat or crypto. So yeah, but yeah, they
Yeah,
did.
just regular old payments. Yeah. No, this is super interesting. I didn't know about TB decks, because I had heard about um DIDs, decentralized identifiers, and I think the first time I heard about them was Magic Link. There's this company that their whole company is based around like email login, but they had actually originally been an Ethereum company that had kind of pivoted to
Oh,
that. And so they were using like DIDs on the Ethereum blockchain. It was like this kind of huge, ridiculous kind of setup. But I thought it was cool because it was a web native technology. That's the web standards, the thing they always talk about with DIDs. So it
yeah.
kind of really made Web3 make a lot more sense, because you could have like blockchains and cryptocurrencies and all this stuff, but that doesn't really have anything to do with the internet. It could just be like some computers out there in the world. So do you like, what is like, do you have identities that are currently using DIDs somewhere on some services? Like, what are you currently using that actually implements this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't have. Okay, let me see how I could describe it. Right. So with Web 5, if you want to interact with the Web 5 ecosystem, automatically you use this method called Web 5 Connect, and it'll create a decentralized identifier for you. So I guess I do have decentralized identifiers out there. We're still in the process of making it basically consistent, I guess. Because right now, if you like clear it's like locally stored in your browser storage. If you clear your browser, you end up getting a new DID. So I don't have like, this is my consistent.
Gotcha. I just made one. I
You
did
made
it.
now? Okay. Yeah. Did you go to the quick start?
Let me share my screen so people know what the hell is happening right now.
You did go
Yeah,
to
so
the start, and I just remade this, so we could even go through it if you wanted to. So yeah, you
let's
have this
see.
concept. Go ahead. Yeah,
Well,
I'll
I
let
was just I mean, basically it looks like you create just like a project, and then you have this
yeah,
kind of thing, and
yeah.
then you're just console logging out your
The D-
DID. And
yeah.
what's DHT?
DHT is actually, so there's different types of DID methods, right? So different companies or even individuals have made different DID methods for different reasons. Maybe they're like, oh, I want this DID method to be able to hold this specific amount of information. DID DHT is what TBD made, and we made this to be like a blockchain-less DID. So it doesn't rely on blockchain. It's actually on like BitTorrent, something called like main, as you can see in the paragraph, something called mainline distributed hash table. So that's what the DHT is. We also support like JWK. There's like hundreds of DID methods. But yeah.
Huh, that's super interesting. Yeah, so do you know anything about IPFS?
Not really, but you could tell me.
Yeah, so it's another decentralized kind of thing, but it's like it's a file system. So they are also kind of similar to BitTorrent. And
Ah,
so this is kind of this, like you said, it's not a blockchain. It's closer to something like that. But what are let me look at.
yeah, ask me all the stuff. I
No,
did.
this is
Go
super
ahead.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I guess I with something like this, I always like going to the actual
Yeah, the
Web3
spec.
spec, because I always wanted to know like what is in the spec and what is just like code all these other people are writing. So let's see. There existed 103
Mhm.
experimental DID methods. Wow.
Yeah. So everyone just keeps like making their own, I guess.
Interesting. So let's see if you guys are going to be on here.
I'm not sure. I didn't even double check, but there it is. We're right there.
Yeah, right
And we
here.
have our own spec too. Let me give you the right link for our spec.
I'm sure I could find it.
There it is, that first link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DIDs as DNS records. That's where it gets really interesting. So can your DID become your domain?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if we've shown it as that way, but perhaps.
Yeah, it
Mm,
looks like you
let's
can
begin.
link
There's
a domain
I mean,
in your TXT. Yeah, this is also similar to IPFS. IPFS had ways of, they would create a content hash based on whatever is in your file system, and then you could stick that in this like specific syntax in a TXT, and then point that basically at a domain, and then that domain would then sync to the content hash. So that's probably a
mm,
similar thing. Have like TXT, you could basically just anything you want to just shove in there, you could do and kind of hack all sorts of weird stuff into DNS and domains.
I guess
But,
that's kind of like how Blue Sky is a little bit, with the DIDs.
yeah, I do not know how Blue Sky works, but I know it uses DIDs, so, and they give you a domain, so it all comes together somewhere in there. But we're like super far off where we were originally gonna be. So
Oh yeah. I
yeah,
was also
so
I sent you a blog post just for further
yeah,
for whatever you wanted. By the person who created the DHT on our team, and he like expands on it a bit more. Yeah.
interesting. So yeah, what I think is cool is you actually had some really specific use cases that this is already being done with.
Yeah.
Which was involves AI, which I thought was pretty cool. Oh wait, let's see, Black Girl Bites one or no one?
No one. There we
No
go.
one. Yeah, because feature personal. Yeah, this is the one. So this is actually something that I first heard about. There was some dude who was writing blog posts about like AI and crypto and blockchain and how you're gonna need crypto stuff to like verify the AI stuff. This was like 2018 or something. At the time, I had like no idea what the heck was even going on. But that's basically we're kind of there now where AI has gotten to be such a big thing that we want to be able to do kind of two things that I see crypto being used for is first is just making sure you can train and use your own data without having to expose it to a third party service, but then also you could use it to verify that a piece of content is an original or that hasn't been tampered with as or that's not or that's real or AI generated, so like watermarking and stuff like that. So yeah, so what does AI and DIDs have to do with each other?
Yeah, I think I like what you even brought up about the verification part. I know before I dive into what the blog post says, but there's like the Content Authenticity Initiative, and it's like a couple of companies. Maybe you already know this. It sounded like you were touching on this. A couple of companies working together, like Canon, Adobe, like different media companies, and basically what they're doing is like if they're proving that the content that was generated, what like if it's an image or a video is real. So you'll have like kind of like what you said, a watermark, like a little info icon, and it'll say like when something was created and why, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So I I did talk to another guy similar to what you said who had a blog post where he basically had created a chat GPT like thing, and it was like saying like, oh, this like information is actually real and not just like hallucinated, and it comes from this specific area. um but I think I should tell you about verifiable credentials because you're talking a lot about decentralized identifiers, and
Mhm.
verifiable credentials leverage the decentralized identifiers, and that's what helps with the verification of everything.
Yeah,
Um,
you had a post about that too, didn't you?
yeah, I have a lot of posts about it. But in short, it's like a cryptographic way to prove something. It's like a digital version of your any like legal document you have or any document in general. So if you had a driver's license, if you had a I don't know why the things are like missing from my mind, a degree or something like that. I've even chatted with a lot of people on live streams. One guy's using it, verifiable credentials for music copyright. That way people can't say, oh, I was actually the one that um created this song. Like you can't take ownership because you have this proof here signed digitally. And people are also, or this organization is also using it for pharmaceutical supply chain, because apparently I did not know that in the pharmaceutical supply chain like they trade medicines, but you can't just trade it with anyone, of course, because it could be fake. It could be a fake pharmacist. So they're leveraging verifiable credentials to be like, this is a real version of, I don't know, Lexapro, and I'm a real pharmacist. So yeah, that's like so DIDs are being used in verifiable credentials to specify like, here's the issuer, here's the subject or the holder, the person receiving it, and here's the verifier. So those are where the decentralized identifiers are being used. And then you have like this verifiable credential that can get converted into a JWT or a CBOR or whatever kind of signed format, whatever the SDK uses. For Web5, we use JWTs. And then you can use that as proof back and forth, whether it's for AI or whatever. So that was really long. And I can go back to that future of personal AI blog post, but I'll let you ask me questions if you have any.
Yeah, it's an NFT. Like it's
Very similar. I think
yeah,
the
yeah.
only difference, there's a couple of differences.
Mhm.
I don't know why they're not coming to mind. Can you revoke? You can't revoke a NFT, right?
Yeah, that's yeah, NFT if it's like if it gets stolen, then you're kinda just screwed.
Yeah, I think that's one of like the main differences. Like you can
Mm,
revoke a verifiable credential. And with mobile driver's license, I think that third blog post I wrote, mobile driver's licenses, they use verifiable credentials under the hood. And the reason why like government agencies have chosen it is because the ability to revoke it if someone loses their abilities to have a license.
you know, that's super interesting. I'm also just curious. I'm gonna pull up my chat GPT real quick. I'm gonna ask it the same
Oh yeah.
thing. What is the difference between NFTs and verifiable credentials?
I think it's also NFTs aren't tamper proof. I'm not sure.
What do you mean by that?
So, well, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know that much about NFTs, but I know with verifiable credentials, if someone went in and tried to change like information within it, it will show that like it was edited and it wouldn't be valid anymore. I could even share my screen later if you wanted to see what I
There we
mean.
go.
Let's see. Uh, okay.
Yeah. So
Key
key
difference.
difference.
That's what I care about. I was like, what?
NFTs are primarily about ownership and uniqueness, whereas verifiable credentials are about verified claims and identity related information, enable trading ownership, allow for secure privacy verification.
I don't like this.
It doesn't, yeah, it's just like they're both just defining themselves kind of in their own terms, but like
I found
owning something is a verifiable claim that requires identity because you can't own something unless you have an identity. Like
yeah, I found
that's
the blog post.
what you were saying about let's
Mhm.
see, VCs can be revoked, can't they? And
And they're
and
tamper evident.
and have tamper evidence. Okay. Yeah, see, you're smarter than ChatGPT.
I don't know anything about NFTs though. It got me on that. Yeah. Yeah. So if someone said they wanted to pretend that they gave you the driver's license or they wanted to change the date of when their driver's license expired, it'll show that.
Mhm. Man, ChatGPT is going super slow right now.
Hello. Is everyone using it? Also, VCs are a W3C standard, so you can look it up on I just remembered, you can look it up on the spec as well,
Mhm.
just like bids are.
So I guess a verifiable credential is not something that would be um, transferred from one
No,
person to another.
no, you can't do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, because people were using NFTs like verifiable credentials, like some like
Oh.
developer DAO. You would like get an NFT, and then that would help you. That would allow you access to like the Discord server, and then it's connected to your wallet, so your wallet is what would give you the identity. So there's like a cluster of all these different technologies that all kind of enable similar things, and it's mostly just like, how do you have end-to-end encryption on all of your stuff in a
Mm,
way that doesn't require a third party to hold those keys or verify those things? So that's why they they are there's like differences, but they're aiming for the same thing. So that's
same
why I
goal.
find it really interesting that everything that Web 5 is doing, I can kind of map to a Web 3 thing. They're just
Yeah.
doing it with like different tech,
Yeah.
but the underlying point of like why they're building it is
Similar.
similar. And it's like, what has been your experience trying to convince people that this tech is worthwhile or that they need it? Because for me, it was always like people just didn't seem to be concerned about like owning their data or having like to use third parties, or they just like lived in a country where they had very good property ownership laws and things like that. So what has been your experience trying to make the philosophical case for this tech to people?
Yeah, I will be honest and say I think I'm still learning, especially in the beginning. I had written this blog post on data ownership. I was like so proud of it. And then I posted it in DevRel Collective, and people essentially like short summary of what they were saying is like they're like, this is kind of dumb. And I was like, oh, okay. But I think I've tried to like listen to stuff that Angie says. Some of the stuff she talks about is like reusability of data, and I think that sometimes gets people where she gives this example that let's say you set your preferences for an airline. Like you're like, I always want an aisle seat, whatever for Delta. And she gives the example that if you were to use Web5 or decentralized web nodes and stuff like that, you can bring that data with you to a different airline if you had to go use British Airways or something like that. Sometimes people are like, oh, that's cool. I think they get interested in the verifiable credentials use cases as well when I tell them about like, oh, people are actually using this for like music copyright, or like the AI example that we were talking about with content verification. So those are the areas where I think I start to get people a little bit more. I think when I say Web 5 in the beginning, I automatically lose them. So yeah, I think
It
that.
sounds like a joke. Is
Yeah.
the problem? Like it literally just it sounds like someone just came up with a joke. It's like Web 5. Like wasn't there just this thing called Web 3, and then where's Web 4? And then is it because it's Web 2 plus 3? Is that right?
Yeah, that's the reason. And then I know that a lot of times they say it's tongue in cheek. A lot of our naming conventions are kind of just like fun jokes, like even the name TBD.
TBD. Yeah.
And I think it's just like the tech is hard, so they wanted to give it like fun, silly names. Like they think it's just interesting. I don't know. Yeah. But I think a lot of that. I think it really depends on the different use cases. And I think the example around using verifiable credentials and DIDs for those global financial exchanges, I think that kind of resonates with people who've had to send money to different countries as well. Because people know it's annoying, like going to Western Union. So I think that sometimes helps solidify it.
Mhm. Yeah. So I'm interested in the decentralized web nodes part now, because
Yeah.
I literally never even heard of this until I saw your blog post mention it. And I'm looking at the TV Dex white paper actually, and I saw it's in here.
Yeah,
So
I could talk
so
about.
they need an interface which stores, cover, and fetch data. So this is really the storage layer underlying the whole stack, which has DIDs as the authentication, and then this is the storage, and then I guess like where does the compute happen? I guess the compute would also happen on these web nodes.
I don't know what you mean by compute, to be honest. What you mean?
So like say you have like your decentralized web node, you have your all of your documents, like you saved all your journal, like you have your journal in there, and you want to like run search on it or something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yes. Okay, yeah, go to the documentation. Basically, you can like it's you can treat it like a database. You can do CRUD operations on your decentralized web node. So like you said, you authenticate in what you did, and they're like, this is Anthony's decentralized web node, did DHT 1234 whatever, and then you can like query for data, you can send data and whatever. I think the cool thing, or maybe the more unique thing about decentralized web nodes, is that the data is you have control over who the data is accessible to and what parts of the data. So if you go to protocols, I think that's maybe where you might want to go. Um, and so you will use a protocol. It's not the same as a HTTP protocol, but you will use a protocol, which is just like a JSON document to say like, hey, here's who gets access to this. So like we can look at this example here, right? And like this is your protocol for social media XYZ. You have different types. You have a post, you have a reply, you have an image, and then you can say like, for my app, anyone can create a post and read a post, but maybe you only want your friends and family to see an image or whatever. So you have that control over who gets access to it and who doesn't. Yeah.
So this is the equivalent of the smart contract. So in like Ethereum, you would have a smart contract where you would write some code that would kind of do all this. So is this so do you write actual code in a programming language, or it's just JSON objects? You're not really writing like logic, it looks like.
For defining the protocol, it's just a JSON object, but for the entire Web5 SDK, it's a language. So if you wanted to click build, and that way you can, and then DWNs and DWN records. I guess this is where you're writing code where you can say, all right, Anthony can say, Rizèl gave me access to see her blog post. I want to query this protocol for this type of data, so blog post from her did. So that's where you're writing code, but for just setting up the protocol itself, just JSON.
See, that's really great because the thing that messed everything up with blockchain is that the way you would define the protocol, like here, is you would just write code. So like
Oh.
if you were actually trying to define like who has access to what, you might there might be a bug in it, and you might actually give someone access to all your money by accident, and then it's
Oh.
just like your whole contract is totally screwed. So having just a very specific JSON definition is more like infra as code kind of thing, and
That's
you can
scary.
yeah, no, totally. Let's see
And you can like set up roles. You can put it to a specific person. These are made a while ago. I don't know if they're still, you can look at them. Let's see. I don't know if they're still relevant to how we do them now. Oh, good. They did update it. Cool.
Yeah, no, this is cool. It's
Yeah.
pretty straightforward. You're just kind of defining your kind of data model along with your permissions.
Yeah.
This is really cool. So you could host a server. So this is where like like I was saying, where's the compute happen. So you can host a server.
Yeah, if you wanted to. So right now, in like tech preview, TBD is hosting a couple like DWN servers for folks. But if you wanted to host one locally, you can do that.
Yeah, it's the same thing with IPFS. Protocol Labs was running a whole big IPFS cluster, but then other people could run it kind of on their own machine. Yeah, and this is where it's really like the BitTorrent thing. Did you do torrents when you were growing up?
No, I didn't really.
I thought you were gonna be the age where you just I was just the last generation of people who really did torrents because I torrented music up until like 2002, 2003, and then that's when like the iPod came out, and then you had streaming services and everything kind of came after that. But the interesting thing about torrenting is that like you would download like the uTorrent client, and then you would try and download like a movie or a song, and then it would be downloading from multiple people at once because it would be living on different computers. And then once you download it, people will be able to download it from you, and so you would be like the node for the content once you downloaded it. But if you just downloaded something and then put it on your computer and then delete it from the torrent, then you were no longer interacting with it, and that was like considered like bad etiquette for torrenting. You were supposed to like reseed the stuff you downloaded.
Oh, I might. Okay, I could you do it with movies? I feel like I did it
Yeah,
once or watched someone do. Okay, I don't
yeah.
think
If
it
you ever use the Pirate
was.
Bay, then that's a torrent.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't like
Yeah.
commonly doing it because I think it was like 7, but
Hmm.
I might have. It sounds familiar. I feel like I did it once or twice.
Cool. So you said that they are running their own servers
Yeah, and that's
somewhere.
what happens when you do Web5 Connect. It just connects to the TBD Tech
Ah,
Preview servers. Yeah.
currently in tech preview. Yeah, this is like there's so much stuff in these docs.
Yeah. Shout out to my team and Angie. We built the docs.
No, these are great. They're it's just like you can tell there's a lot of stuff in here, but the pages themselves are like pretty concise, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Right now we're developing a wallet. But it's more just as like a prototype, just so people can get an
Mhm.
idea um of how to store stuff. That's just my blog post, I think. Just saying no crypto is not cryptocurrency.
Yeah, no, it's go way out of your way not to associate the two things, which I understand. Be curious, like at some point these things are going to connect to cryptocurrencies. Just a question of how. What are participating financial institutions?
That is within. So I'll be honest, I'm not focused on the TB stuff. So maybe there'll be
Uh-huh.
like some gaps in knowledge, but that
Sure, yeah.
is within. I'm more on Web5, but that is within like
Mhm.
the TBDEX network. So in the TBDEX network, you have like 3 people or 3 actors. You have the participating financial institution. That's the one that's going to basically be saying, "Oh, you want to exchange? You want to send money to I don't know, Africa or something, you can send it for maybe like 3 naira, whatever. Like, so they give you different options for liquidity.
Let's see. Saying here, Yellow Card is the first PFI offers liquidity across 20 African countries.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. So let's go back to the AI
Oh yeah.
stuff.
I went so far away from it. Sorry. Yeah. So
No,
that
no, this is great.
that thing that you clicked was really interesting. Um, there's this organization called Kin AI or MyKin or something like that. And they essentially made their own version of ChatGPT, but they're using DWNs. So instead of your data going out into the world and being leveraged by different tools, you can just, oh, I need to update that. We've moved our YouTube channel. We've moved our YouTube
Uh,
channel. Um,
so it is no longer. What's the name of the YouTube channel?
TBD videos. There's a lot of channels with TBD. So
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. And videos, and then you go to what was it called? Keep scrolling.
Let's see. How long ago was it?
There's a lot of AI ones.
So,
Oh, your AI bestie, the key to building trust in AI. That's what it is.
yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find
So
a link to the site. Here we go.
yeah. Basically, all your information or all the whole conversation with your AI agent instead it gets saved in a decentralized web node. So you're not like, oh, this is getting stored in a place that I don't know about. But what they want is that eventually they're going to make it so you can choose who you want to send the data to, and they're even imagining a world where, let's say, you like to order Starbucks every day at 9 a.m. Maybe you give it a verifiable credential like the AI agent, and it orders it on your behalf every day at 9 a.m. So that's what this, I'm quoting the CTO of what he told me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I can chat with it, contextual memory, personalized reminders, and you're working on integrations. What's proactive chat?
I don't know.
Yeah, I know this is not your product or your company anymore, so I'm just asking out loud.
But the episode, the memory part is really cool. Like if you look at that image that they have there, right here. So like for me, I wonder if I still have it on my phone. It had like my name's Rizèl. Let me see. I had signed it. It was like, your name's Rizèl. You like to watch this TV show, just from like talking to me. So that way, like with ChatGPT, I know they came out with the V0 or whatever that's supposed to like remember stuff, but this like really like remembered everything about me, my favorite show, my job, and all this other stuff. I'm trying to log in. Hopefully, it still has it. And skip. Yeah, even like I just logged in and it said, let's see, brain. Here it is. I don't know if you could see it. Ooh, and my screen's dirty. But I don't know if you can see it very well. But it's like,
Yeah.
says that I'm a staff developer advocate. I'm learning about Web 5. I'm watching Love is Blind right now. So it just like pays attention to certain stuff so it can bring it back up for the future, which I think is cool.
Let's see. I just want to say hey to people in the chat. I've missed these
Hey,
before.
I didn't see it.
We got a fuzzy.
This
I was the first person to crack Command and Conquer and sold them in school for a bomb. No idea.
Talking about torrenting, maybe? No?
Something like that. He said he made a lot of money torrenting. What's up,
Hey,
Travis? Yeah, I mean, you still gotta pay like $4 to rent a movie from like Amazon or YouTube or something. So still worth torrenting. You still save some money.
yeah, I think my little sister torrents, because she told me the other day, she was like, "Oh, I'm watching this," and I was like, "How?" And she's like, "Download BitTorrent," and I'm like, "You use that?" So she's more
That
hip.
is super funny.
Yeah.
So you had one other.
I had a lot of AI ones.
Yeah, it was Web 5 meets generative AI. Let's look at that one.
Oh yeah, this was really cool. A community member made this. And he called it an autonomy. I think he's still working on it. But basically you upload different files onto there. Like he gave us the example of, he uploaded his lease agreement, and then he used AI to basically chat with it and ask the information like, when does my lease agreement end and stuff like that. That way you don't have to root through the whole thing. It like he was using a vector database as well to like piece up the information for him pretty quickly. And then using DWNs, of course, so you'd be able to own and store your data. But he was still trying to figure out like, how do I have the vector database on a DWN? Oh yeah, let's see if it works for you. I never tried it myself. Where's the AI part?
Let's see. So I've got this one file. I put my resume in there.
Yeah.
And I can look at it. I can download it and I can share it.
If you want, you can like view the video really quickly. I wonder if there's a specific minute. I'll send you the new one. TBD.
Yeah, it's the same. You got a whole bunch of broken
Review
things
the
in there.
text. Yeah, we moved.
Like
We
because he moved his GitHub to
Oh, he
internally.
was. Dang. Huh.
Let's see, what was there?
His name is Anthony.
It's a good name.
Yes. And Mateo. And oh, did you get rid of your GitHub? Where's it at?
He still has his GitHub, but maybe he transferred it to another, like a company or something. Let's see. Oh, actually, I think I might. Let's try this. Nope.
It's good that you're going through these. I didn't even know how many links were not working anymore.
Maybe he just killed the project.
No, I'm gonna have to hit him up and be like, "What happened?" I'll show you the YouTube video then. That sucks. I'll go to the minute where he like demos it. Where is it? He was my first live stream at TBD.
That's cool. Actually, I have an idea. Let's try this. See if it got saved in the Wayback Machine.
Ooh, that's smart.
Here we go. Maybe he rebranded it.
Yeah, maybe he gave it a different name. I'm gonna hit him up on Discord and be like, "Hey, what happened?" But I found the minute at which he demonstrates this.
Okay, let's switch to your screen.
Okay. Yeah. Share screen. Oh no, this is a new laptop.
You can hop off and back on if you need to.
Okay, I'll do that. BRB.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'm going to take your thing and plop it in to Claude so that we can get the show notes. If anyone else is out there and hasn't said hey yet, say hey. Okay. Med tabs open. Okay. Close that. Close that. Okay, so for those still hanging out, here we go.
I've returned. Thanks for the patience.
Yep.
So I'm sharing it now. And when he had demonstrated, it had looked like this, name, storage, and then he would like asking its diff, like, when does my renter's insurance expire? So he didn't necessarily have to click on that particular document.
So then it could just
and then here it says your
easily give me
renter's
the
insurance
answer
policy
to
is set to expire on
I
August
love
20,
it. Now,
2024.
oh, go ahead.
Can you mute your sound?
Oh, you can hear it? Oop,
Yeah.
sorry.
All good.
I pressed mute tab, so I thought. But did you miss everything I said?
No. I think I know what's going on here. It looks like the current app that's still running. He probably doesn't have it hooked up. Well, actually, what we're looking at right here, this is just localhost. This is not actually running. So he may have never even deployed this at all. And the thing itself might never have actually worked, because the problem with a thing like this is if he's got it hooked up to a chat bot, someone's got to pay for that,
That's true. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if he had chosen to show it locally because it had additional features. I can't remember, since this was so many. This says 1 month ago, but it wasn't. It was like it was like a month after I started, so maybe 7 months ago.
Yeah, it was. Looks like it was in December.
Yeah.
Let's see. If this is his same handle on X, it says his account was suspended.
Aw. I'm gonna hit him up. I haven't seen him talk in Discord in a while.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So that project is kind of a bust, but I like I like the idea, because this is there's other services that are doing this. I'm trying to think of what are some of the ones that I've heard about. Private AI companies. I guess so we've talked about Kin and then this Newtonomy. Are there other AI things that you've been looking at that are related to TBD stuff?
The only other one I think was this guy that worked at Consensus, and he made it was just a demo application again for him. It was called like Star Chat. Let me see if I can find. Let's see. Consensus. And it was basically just proving like, oh, this information is legitimate, and it came from this particular place. Let's see if I can find it. Was it called Star Chat? I'm gonna look up Nick Reynolds, and he was a Nick Reynolds Consensus Mesh, and then he did something with AI. Let's see if I can find that.
Let's see, Veramo.
Yeah, I think Veramo's a company within Consensus, or the other way around. Star Chat. Here it is. His blog post on Medium. I'll put it in the private chat. I don't think the demo works anymore either, because he made it in July 17, 2023, and he brought it back to life just for the live stream. But yeah, he made Star Chat beta, and it's like on Hugging Face, and it's using decentralized identifiers and verifiable credentials to kind of say like, hey, this information came from, I don't know, WebMD, and it's legitimate, so that that it's not necessarily the AI just hallucinating.
Right. Yeah. Yes, a little more built out, but it looked like Veramo Labs, they create stuff around DIDs also.
Yeah, they their SDK is quite similar to Web Vibes. Just they do the verifiable credential part of what we do, from what I've looked through.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm not seeing how they're related to Consensus. You're talking about Consensus, the company, right?
Consensus Mesh. Yeah, well, I don't know either.
Oh, Consensus Mesh is not
the same thing.
Wait. Oh no. Oh, this can with an SYS, that Consensus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the company behind Ethereum, or the company that formed around Ethereum is probably a better way to put it. So so this is where the Web 3 and the Web 5 meet each other.
Oh.
I think this is what that is. Yeah, there you go. Boom.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, this is really interesting. So I was seeing things like ENS as Ethereum name service. And here you got DID ETH. So this is at the beginning of the episode, I was saying how Magic Link was using, it was something like this, a way to have a DID on the Ethereum blockchain. Yeah, no, it's cool. I think it would make sense for all this stuff to kind of play together nicely at a certain point if anyone wanted it to. You got a React app here. This is pretty cool stuff. This looks pretty old. They're still calling it Krakow.
That is the throwback.
Yeah.
That's funny. Let me see what other things you can know. I guess in addition to there's some Web3 companies getting into this, I guess there's some Web2 companies a little bit like Okta/Auth0. They do verifiable credential stuff. Microsoft does a little bit of verifiable credential stuff. So it's kind of interesting that like some of these companies are dabbling in digital identity as well.
Yeah. All right. So check this out. So Auto Show is a basically node scripting workflow that does a couple things. It starts with a YouTube URL. So you start with this, and then the command you would run would be, it was this. I don't know how well you can see that, but
Yep.
this over here. So dash video, because you're passing it a video. You can also give it a playlist with multiple YouTube videos, a list of just arbitrary URLs of YouTube videos, or an RSS feed. And then you can specify a transcription model. But basically what it does is it rips the audio out of the video and then uses Whisper, OpenAI's open source transcription model, to create a transcript. Then it appends a prompt to the front. And then the prompt is what generates the show notes. So I tell it to create a 1-sentence summary, 1-paragraph summary, and then chapters with timestamps. And then you give it like an example of what you want to create. And then you copy paste this whole thing into an LLM. And then you get something like this. So Cole Davis discusses how Switchchord uses self-sovereign identity to revolutionize music rights management and streamline the music industry.
Cool.
And then you can see you got chapters, introduction, background on the music industry, his journey and inspiration. Then you have the demo, then talking about industry adoption, onboarding, copyright laws, and then final wrap up. So what's cool is if you were to plop this into a YouTube description, it automatically creates those chapters for you because it recognizes these, and then you can click them also as links. And if you want to, you could like clip your video and have a whole bunch of clips with titles and descriptions already. So that's something that I want to start doing with some of my more long form content. And that just gives you like a nice, description. So if you want to tweet it, you have something right there to tweet with. And yeah, and you can tweak the prompt if you want. Like sometimes if you're just doing some content and it's like doesn't have a title, you could say create 3 potential titles, or you can say give me 3, questions to that, or like 3 key takeaways someone should have from this content, that kind of stuff. So yeah, and if you want to check it out, it is Auto Show is what it's called.
Let me bookmark it.
Yeah. If you star it, you'll be the 10th person.
Hey. Look at you. Got it. I'm gonna star it and then bookmark it. Yeah, this is good. I try out all these little AI things, and I'm like, how do I get my content? Like, how do I streamline the creation of my content?
Yeah, so if you end up using this for your own stuff or for TBD or whatever, let me know, because I'm basically showing this to all of my streamer friends, you know. So I've shown it to Ben Holmes, I've shown it to Nikki T, I've shown it to Jen Janad, Michael Chan. I think you're the fifth person I think I've kind of demoed it to, because it's like all those people have crap loads of like
Content.
hundreds of hours of just YouTube streaming content or podcast content out there in the world. So I'm like, these are my target audience because they're just like me. They have too much content.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's hard to manage it all. Thank you. Yeah, I think I'll definitely try it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can there goes one step deeper where it also creates front matter based on the metadata of the YouTube video. So
Oh,
you
okay.
can actually you get full markdown files, and if you pair that with an Astro content collection, you can just plop it all into an Astro starter, and then you have an entire website created with SEO optimized pages of every video.
Hell yeah, I like that. That's
Yeah.
great. Oh my
So yeah,
god.
that's
Should
auto
I
show.
Thank
Cool.
you.
We're at the hour mark, so I'm gonna have to go because it's my partner's birthday and we're seeing a movie. But let's just share some links and anything you're working on, or what's some cool stuff happening, either AI or not AI related with TBD.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be at Render. Both me and Angie are gonna do a talk. So if y'all are gonna be there too, definitely come by. And I'll be at Cascadia JS. Probably in July, I'll start live streaming myself doing a project. I want to build like a what's it called? Like a pregnancy app tracker, since a lot of
Mm.
the trackers right now, like other people, like literally as soon as I got pregnant, like Facebook knows I'm pregnant every place. So I'm like, what if you just
Oh,
like
you're pregnant? I didn't know.
yeah.
Hey,
So
congrats.
but yeah, as soon as that happened, I'm like, wow, I could definitely see how the data gets like easily sold and shared. So I want to make like a better app, because first of all, some of these apps are not that great in my opinion.
Mhm.
And then also build it on top of Web5. So I'm gonna like weekly stream that. But that's about it. That, you
That's
know.
awesome. That's such a great use case, and it's something that's like personally interesting to
Hmm,
you. So yeah, I'll want to follow along with that. That's very cool.
thank you. Awesome. And thanks
Cool.
for chatting with me.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Super glad we could connect. We should definitely stay in touch. You work on so much cool stuff, and you're like connected to a lot of interesting people. So I'm just happy to see literally anyone else interested in the decentralized web, because I felt like I was like shouting into the void for the longest time.
And yeah, and most people are still in the AI wave, but I think it'll slowly but surely catch up. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, and thanks to everyone who was watching in the audience, and we will catch you guys next time.